No, no, go ahead, flip the switch. Then tell them why to stay up here. Do you know the Pledge of Allegiance? Would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Bring up to the flag. No, it's fine, we're all friends. No? Okay.
You stay up here. Stay up here with us.
You do that.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice job. Good job.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Antoinette, can we get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here. So we'd like to start off with a presentation by our new library director, Stephanie.
Hi, thank you for having me. I know that George Disbrow and Karen Powers on our library board, they're here every month and they do a great job of telling the town board what the library is up to. There's a couple times a year where I like to come talk about some special things that are happening in the library world. And April is one of them. This week is National Library Week. And it's a time where libraries across the country celebrate what makes us special to our patrons and our communities. This year's theme is Libraries Equal Strong Communities. So we have partnered with local businesses to highlight them and highlight what our library card can do for our patrons and for our local businesses. So I have a flyer here that I'll give to you, and on the back it lists businesses that are partnering with us. And this week, if you bring in your library card, it doesn't have to be a Patterson library card, it can be any library card in the Mid-Hudson Library System. You bring your card into the participating businesses and you'll get a discount. So I think it's nice because it shows how valuable your library card is in the library, outside of the library, just like libraries in general are valuable to the people who use them and to the communities in general. So I hope that all of you who have a library card will use it this week at one of the businesses listed on the flyer. And if you don't, there's still time to get a library card. National Library Week runs through Saturday, so there's still time to get a library card. The other thing I wanted to mention while I was here, I know the census is coming up next year, and if the town plans to do anything, like form a committee or a task force to help make sure everyone in the town is accurately counted, the library would love to participate. Since it's going to be done online, people who don't have computers or electronic devices will need a place to fill out the census. So libraries are anticipating a lot of people will come in to fill out the census, and they might need help filling it out because maybe they're not digitally literate. So if you plan on doing anything, we would love to work with you on that. So just thought I'd mention that as well.
Great.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
So I'm going to leave these for you.
Thank you for coming over.
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion on the reports?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the code compliance for March, code enforcement for March, dog control officer for March, ECI for March, and the Patterson Recreation for January and February. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion on the supervisor's report?
I'd like to make a... No. I don't have that.
Okay. Supervisor report. I'll make a motion that we approve the supervisor's report for the month of February 2019 in the total amount of $12,305,935.51. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's the amount.
So that is actually, the supervisor's report is just a summary of expenditures. The amount that was just provided is the actual amount of our budget for the year.
total budget.
Yeah, total budget.
Okay.
So,
Oh, right. So you didn't spend $12 million this month, did you?
well, I'm working on it. Can I get a motion on the minutes?
Okay, on the minutes, I will make a motion that we approve the bid opening minutes for the seasonal lawn bids for general areas for the town of Patterson and Putt Lake of March 14th, the town board meeting minutes of March 13th, and the town board meetings of March 27th, 2019. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somebody like to audit the bills?
I'll make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 6, dated March 29th, 2019, the amount of $255,383.54. So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And I will make a motion on budget transfer request number 7, the shifting of $78 between recreation programs contractual camps to recreational programs contractual ski expense.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Charles, you're up.
All right. First, we have an issue on Ice Pond subdivision relative to the number of subdivision plots, a question about that. Of course, they provide recreation fees in the amount of $4,500 per lot per dwelling unit, excluding the existing lot when you start off. I understand, Mr. Counsel, that you have some words of wisdom on this.
Maybe not that, but essentially, the subdivision consists of 3 lots that have been assembled together and then subdivided. It was a cluster subdivision that I believe has been approved by the planning board. And
Can you speak into the mic?
Sure. At issue is whether the 3 lots should be considered separate and distinct, thereby affording the developer the opportunity to have 3 lots exempt from the $4,500 per lot payment in lieu of parklands. I know Rich and Sean are certainly familiar with it. I don't know if the other board members of public are, but when a subdivision occurs, there is an assumption that the subdivision is going to create the potential for an increase in demand for park and recreation land. The state enabling statutes afford the planning board the right to designate areas within a subdivision that would be suitable for parkland. But as is very often the case, towns adopt subdivision regs and fee schedules that permit, in lieu of parkland, that an amount be donated per lot that's created to provide a fund for the use by the town in creating additional recreational facilities. That's the underpinnings of the issue on the Ice Pond subdivision. The Ice Pond subdivision, and let me back up, the town's fee schedule provides for $4,500 per lot with an exemption for a lot from which the subdivision was created. It's silent on the situation that's before us, which is 3 lots have been assembled, used in conjunction to create the subdivision. Now, my belief, and based somewhat on case law, but I also think in the sense of the enabling statute and the payment in lieu of parkland that I just explained, is that these 3 lots have been assembled, and when the plat is filed, there is essentially 1 lot that they are being used for one purpose, and a merger occurs for zoning purposes. And so therefore, I believe that they should be considered 1 lot, 25 lots are created, 1 lot is exempted, and the 24 lots should be the basis for the recreation fee. There's no law on it. There's no, that we have found at least. There's nothing in the zoning code, there's nothing in the state statute or in any cases that we found. We have found cases that support the concept of lots that are used in being considered 1 lot for zoning purposes. And I think that influences me quite a bit on this. I also think that it's a unique situation. I think the board has flexibility. They can take a look at this and make a determination and a call in their discretion as to how to go. So that's essentially my feeling on it.
So you're saying it's one lot, go into 24 lots?
Yes, because another key thing, Charlie, about it is that if you look at the subdivision, the plans that have been submitted, the first sheet of the plan says existing conditions, and it shows 3 lots. And those lots maintain their character as 3 lots until the plat is filed. When that plat is filed, it's actually 1 lot being subdivided into 25. Okay, that's how I look at it.
All right.
And I again, I think it's consistent with the concept that the payments in lieu of parkland are geared to ensuring that the subdivision generates funds to meet the potential park and recreation land demand, and 24 house lots are being created in addition to the 1 that an exemption would apply to.
I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of, my perspective on it is that what are we left with at the end? We're left with an X number of lots, and that should be the basis for creating the calculation of fees. Because it doesn't matter whether we start with 5 lots, 1 lot, 3 lots. We're looking at what the impact to the community is of those houses and the people that live in those houses, what the need is for the community. So I'm less concerned with how we start and more concerned with how we finish in terms of the subdivision. Remember also in that subdivision, we had some land swapping going on between the land trust and the developer. So it's a convoluted beginning, but at the end of the day, we have a 25 lot subdivision. I think that should be used as the basis for the calculation, in my opinion.
Where it gets a little complicated, though, if I could just jump in here, one of the complications on all this is that the fact that one of those lots is going to be held by the land trust for open space, passive recreation.
Great, that's meeting the achievement, the goal of the providing recreation for the community.
But it's not really providing necessary recreation for the community. We've done a report many years ago that, you know, there is a demand for active recreation as well, which is what we're basing the recreation fees on.
Yeah.
So my opinion in this case is, yes, there's a 25 lot subdivision, but there's only 24 residential lots coming off of the 1 lot that's being subdivided. So the recreation fees should be based on 23 lots.
Correct. Yeah. Because that other lot that you were talking about, which goes to the land trust, is
Not developable.
Is not developable, and it's not part of that 24 you're saying, right? Or it is?
It is, no, and so essentially
Correct.
what they're doing is they're merging the lots, creating 2 lots. One of them is going to be held for open space, and the remaining lot is going to be subdivided into 24 lots.
Yeah. I think
So-
It's an interesting issue that we don't run into too often because it is complicated here. Complicated here because there are 2 owners of this subdivision. Typically, if there are 3 lots, one developer will buy the 3 lots, thereby arguably having a more effective merger. But I think the board's within its rights to take that into consideration, that the land trust lot would be undeveloped. I do feel, though, that land trust land was used in calculating the number of house sites that were created, so that might counter that a bit. So again, my feeling is it's not so much in my mind related to the rec fee itself, just the concepts of the zoning. It's really, to me, a re-subdivision of 3 lots, and it creates one. Another thing that struck me, that I will talk to Mike Liguori, who sits with the planning board, and Rich, who would obviously know also. It's an unusual situation because I think there should be some conveyance of land somewhere in this. I don't know how they go, when the plat is filed, I think deeds should be exchanged to confirm those entities that have the right to actually sign the plat in the condition that it is. I don't know if that's typically done.
Well, this gets a little bit more complicated
Yeah, I know it
again,
does.
because it's not actually a 25 lot subdivision, it's a 27 lot subdivision. 2 of the lots are going to be deeded to the town as utility lots. So they by code are already exempt, so I
Right.
didn't bring them into the mix. But as long as you're talking about, yes, there's gonna have to be deeds when the plat is filed, because the town's gonna be involved in the closing, I would think.
Yeah, I would think, and I think it could be done without, potentially without additional consideration, saving transfer tax. I'm not looking to make more expense for the developer, but I think the owner, and perhaps it would be enough just for the two owners, the owners of lots, the current owners, to sign the plat without deeds being exchanged. But we should keep an eye out for that as we get to the signing of the plat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a question before us, whether we're going to base the recreation fees on 22 lots, 23 lots, or 24 lots.
Well, it seems to me that the subdivision is 25 lots. You take out the original lot, right? You get to 24. You take out the land trust lot, that's 23. You might as well stop there.
I'm in full support of that.
I mean, what else? I'd love to see, but that, you know, for, if it legal or,
I think you're on good ground legal-wise. Quite frankly, it effectuates a compromise between both positions without looking at the land trust. We saying we could charge 22 or 24, we're charging at 23 strikes me as an amicable way of dealing with it. And I think it's justifiable in looking at the land trust lot.
And I still
As
think the
separate
land
thing.
trust lot serves a recreational purpose, maybe not an active recreation. It'd be different if that piece of property was bound and not accessible in any way, then I might feel differently, because then it's just open space. But if it's accessible and it's used for hiking, I think that's a real valuable asset to our community. It provides recreation. So I agree with what Charlie said and Rich.
Which I believe it will be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Typically,
It
their
has,
lands are held.
connectivity.
They have to have activity in order to
Yep.
qualify for the, for tax exemption.
Yeah,
you want a motion on
I
this?
think we should do a motion,
think so.
yes.
to set the fees based on 23 lots.
Right.
Yep.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Charlie did, it's on his agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Don, thank
Moving
you.
on.
nice.
All right, interviews. Gentlemen, we need to advise the supervisor of availabilities, because we still have a number of interviews to get through.
Yeah.
So the supervisor, he tried once with crazy program, Doodle, what is it?
Doodle.
Oh, it works great if you use it.
Yeah.
I thought it was
So-
good, I just couldn't do any of the dates they were.
Yeah,
It was
just-
only like 3 days.
I mean,
So,
we did have one interview, and that's commendable. We actually all showed up, and that was better yet. So I think that, well, you want to take this, do you want to send out Doodle again? And,
I can, if everybody was comfortable with doing that scheduling program, getting around the.
Or
I
just
I
get
think it
you-
alleviates the back and forth with emails
Yeah.
and
Okay.
getting confused with
yeah,
what the last email was, what the last date was.
All right,
agree.
so to actually include everybody, because I would like to throw the town clerk in on this so she's aware of the meetings, I'm going to need to purchase the program. The annual cost for Doodle is $50.
Perfect.
So
It's worth it.
is everybody okay with
It's
that?
a time saver in so
Yeah.
many other ways,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, I also tried to do Cozy. I don't know if anybody got the email on Cozy
I did.
and Google Calendars. Anybody get that?
No.
They were a little bit more challenging to try to get everything out.
okay.
Okay, so then tomorrow, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and I shut up. We all come back to you, and if we're all over the place, you pick a date and a time with somebody or two that's most convenient to you.
Okay.
Yeah, you look for where the majorities lie and you go with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we
I will
can't
not be
keep,
offended if it's
Yeah.
something, you know, I
no,
want to be
no,
involved, but I
nobody
wouldn't
would
be
be
offended.
offended.
It's so difficult to get us all together, so if
Yeah,
we can't
so-
do it, we need to get
It's
it
been
done.
challenging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to
And
get
even
it
if a
done.
day is picked that somebody says they're not available, sometimes people can change schedule. If they say that's the
Yeah.
day, then you make it work, so, all right.
Okay,
Great.
then I will take care of that tomorrow.
That's my grandkids.
Sean,
Okay, first item we have is the 2000, oh, it's funny. We have the 2018 annual report. That says established, I read it wrong. And it was submitted by our EMS administrator, Denise Montana, who is here in attendance tonight, which is great because I will never do the report justice. But, and actually, Denise, I would love it if you would come up and say, no? All right, I'm gonna hit the highlights then. All right, so the highlights in my mind, first off, Ms. Montana outlines the operating costs for the EMS function. It includes many different parameters, but, sorry, oh, that's,
sorry.
Yeah. And I am happy to say that we are bringing in revenues which are significantly offsetting. It's not a free service, but we're significantly offsetting our total operating costs, far in excess of what I think I certainly hoped when we started this. And to the point that when we look at the money that we were spending pre-Town of Patterson EMS, when we were hiring it out, we weren't getting 24-hour coverage. We had little to no impact on who was responding and the quality. Not saying that it wasn't quality people, but now we do have an impact on that, and I believe we have outstanding EMTs. I'm very proud of our service. So the report does mention the operating costs, the revenue brought in, which, for instance, revenue collected for last year was just shy of $400,000 from soft billing, which I think is amazing when you consider the service that's provided. I look at George every time with this because I know that you were one of, in my mind, one of the driving forces behind us creating with the maybe lack of quick response that you got in one situation. Secondly, the response times. Now, some of the language and the nomenclature that they use in the EMS, the lingo of the EMS community, like shoot times, I figured out is jumping in the rig and getting it out the door and going. But we are looking at response times averaging right around 10 minutes from call being dispatched to on-scene providing care. And I think that's outstanding. We know it, as great a job as our volunteers have done in the past, it's not nearly 10 minutes on average for calls. So that is also one amazing reason why we took the leap and went with this service. So not only are we,
I'm sorry.
please jump in.
Can I just add something with that,
Yeah.
that 10-minute response time?
Yeah.
And that's like, so that's our average response time. Denise, correct me if I'm wrong. Average response time. So that's for all code 1, 2, and 3 calls.
That's
so
correct.
Emergency lights and sirens calls, and it's also someone fell out of bed at the nursing home and they need help. So those non-emergency are, I guess they're all emergency calls, but non-life-threatening calls where they don't respond lights and sirens, so the response time obviously wouldn't be
Correct.
as quick. And we get a lot of those calls, so that's why. So I imagine a cardiac arrest call or advanced life support type call would probably be a quicker response time because they would go lights and sirens. I just wanted to clarify.
Oh, absolutely. And to that point, 2018 they were dispatched on 1,248 calls, and of that they were able to bill on almost 1,000 of those calls. That resulted in providing care and being able to recoup money to the taxpayers of this community, which helps to offset the cost. So, this is just something that obviously this entire town board, I know Mary's not here, but I know she shares the sentiment. We are very proud of this service. It continues to get better each day. And also the report details the level of continued training that not only our EMTs but our EMS administrator, Ms. Montana, takes on a monthly basis. So it's just thank you for the detailed report. We also received our first quarter report as of this meeting.
Can I just ask a question on this?
Sure.
Denise, on the pie chart, it has the municipalities broken down.
Yes.
Are those the towns or the actual like ambulance corps
Or if I can throw in, are they zip codes?
They're zip codes.
Okay.
That's
Where we're
where the
responding
problem
is
is.
zip codes.
because we were looking
So
at
to give you a feel of how much mutual aid we're providing.
because we were trying to because Carmel's a big chunk of the pie. We're trying to figure out because I know
Well,
Lake.
Silver Lake is a Carmel address.
Okay.
That's why
Denise, microphone.
Oh, we let you go all the way down that road.
Yeah, and I understand we go to Lake Carmel a lot, so that would be a Carmel address as well.
we do. Well, we go to Lake Carmel, we go to Brewster, but the bulk of the Carmel zip codes that you're seeing is for our responses to Clover Lake.
Oh, Clover Lake.
Right. And they're roughly about 30% of our call volume.
Wow.
So that pie chart actually then, based on zip code, I mean, part of the Carmel section is also Patterson. Part of the Brewster section would also be Patterson.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to find a way to differentiate that a little bit going forward.
Maybe we show it in both ways to try to
Well,
figure out.
We don't know what's
capture
Putt Lake or
all
what's,
Yeah, they don't, we've got to figure out a way to
Southeast.
break it out better.
Yeah.
We can work on that.
Okay.
But, listen, I just want to echo what these two gentlemen have said, you know, it's an amazing service we've created, and it's led by you, and it's been such a success mostly because of all your hard work.
Thank you.
You know, and you can see, we had a good idea what the call volume was going to be going into this. And because the way the service is being run, it's being relied on more by other towns and the county. And so our call volume is actually quite higher than we anticipated because of that. They're relying on us more and more to fill the gaps.
Right.
So kudos to you for
Yeah.
just an outstanding job you've done on this.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks so much.
I echo that since they give me a chance to talk, so I'll just say yes, yes, and yes. Okay, so.
Thank you, Charlie.
All right.
you're gonna do this?
I just mentioned
did
it.
you?
Yeah. Okay, so next up, our sanitation department. I never remember the title we used for Russ for sanitation. Sanitation administrator. Russell Goff has given us some information. We had mentioned this last meeting that obviously our costs for recycling, it's not only Patterson, it's countywide, and I'm sure it's regional. The costs for getting rid of recyclables is skyrocketing. It used to be years ago we could actually get some money on recyclables. Now we're paying to get rid of them. But the costs, just as an example, for the single stream recyclables from April 2018 was running around $55. I'm assuming that's a ton. And a year later, it's gone up by over 50%, $76.87. You extrapolate that out, that's a significant cost for getting rid of these recyclables. Russ has done some investigation and found city carting in Somers, and he believes that that might be an option for us getting a more reasonable return on our investment, so to speak, getting more for our dollar. And so, Russ, it's your recommendation that we adjust and we move to that city carting in Somers, correct? Yeah. And we can always, the point is that Russ is looking at these numbers and not just looking at it once every 5 years. We're talking about it and adjusting it accordingly. So I guess I'll make the motion to see if there's any discussion on this, to allow Russ to adjust our carter to city carting in Somers. Right now it's $60 a ton. It could fluctuate, but that's the cost at this time. So moved.
Second.
So just to be clear, I think what we're doing is accepting them as an acceptable vendor for the town of Patterson.
So moved.
So we don't have to approve the price that you're saying?
Yeah, well, because the price is going to fluctuate.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
gonna fluctuate.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're gonna continue to monitor Recommunity.
Recommunity,
And if they
correct.
come back down, then we're gonna
Switch over.
bounce back.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Russ.
Russ, thanks for continuing to work on that.
That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, next is commercial campus at Fields Corners. This is a project down in the town of Southeast. It was formerly known as Northeast Logistics. It was a 1 million square foot distribution facility. They have dropped it down to just under 1 million square feet. Recently, the draft FEIS was released by the town of Southeast, or actually the developer to the town of Southeast Planning Board. I've read most of the FEIS and came away a little stunned and disappointed, to say the least, that the agreement that we had in concept that there was going to be a gate across Fields Corners Road had been taken out of the document and replaced with a 12-foot high crash bar that would have allowed, or will allow, 40% of the truck traffic and all of the vehicle traffic to travel on Fields Corners Road. Fields Corners Road, for those of you who are not familiar with the road, is a very narrow, windy dirt road and is absolutely unsuitable for that level of traffic. If the developer does not step up and improve the road, then the town of Patterson ultimately would be responsible for making those improvements to meet the needs of the traffic on that road. Otherwise, again, we would just have an absolute mess. I've talked with our town attorney about what some of our options are. I know he's prepared to talk about some of those legal options in executive session as we move forward. I've also sent a letter down to the Southeast Planning Board expressing my disappointment. The biggest issue before us with the town of Southeast Planning Board is the consultant is maintaining that based on the existing distribution of traffic for employment in the area, that there will be no traffic being coming on to Fields Corners Road from this project. That ignores the issue that the intersection down at Pugsley Road and Route 312 will have a peak hour traffic volume of well over 2,000 cars. That's somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 60 cars a minute will be going through that intersection. It will be operating at a level of service D. The traffic will be looking to turn out onto 312 and have to navigate through 3 traffic lights to get back on 84 before anybody can come, travel north to head home.
They're gonna learn the shortcut.
They're gonna know the shortcut and they're gonna use the shortcut. And the developer and the town of Southeast continues to maintain that's not gonna happen, and that's just, to me, patently false.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a big impact to our residents on Fields Corners Road. There's gonna be a big impact to the Fair Street area and also to the town of Kent. Actually, I met recently with the developer downstairs to go through my concerns. One of the traffic engineers acknowledged he used to live in the town of Kent. And when I posed to him if he was employed at this center, how he would make his way home, he acknowledged he would go down Fields Corners Road, even though he was sitting there telling me there would be no traffic on Fields Corners Road. So, at this point, it looks like we're up against the wall if we're going to do anything about this. I've reached out to 3 traffic consultants to take a look at the FEIS. One of them has returned their response. I provided it to the board for your consideration. And, again, we're going to go into executive session and talk some legal strategy about how to move forward on this. But, I need to know what the board's opinion is, and, it's going to cost us some money, at this point, if we're going to proceed forward, whether you want to, spend that money. I can sit here and continue to thump my chest and try to do the best I can. But at this point, I think we need some technical backup for what I'm doing. And so we need to talk about the economics of moving forward with this and where we're going to go. Don?
Just a couple of comments that I think are appropriate for talking about in public. One is that it is important to get the traffic studies going as quickly as possible. It's not wasteful in that there will be time periods that apply, and we should be ready. We shouldn't be. There's still some hope that potentially things may go the way we thought they were going to go when Rich and I met with them early on. But if it does not, and the town board and the planning board, in Southeast accepts the FEIS, we want to be able to strike within the applicable timeframes if necessary. That's one thing that I think is important for the public to know. This is preemptive work to be prepared and not be caught short when the time comes. The second thing is it was a little bit more Rich than Rich giving his thoughts. We are formally of record in the process and clearly have standing as an adjoining municipality. So that is this is not mere discussion at this point. There has actually been a submission where they know what the town feels, and I think quite properly feels. So just thought that would be good for people to know.
Yeah, let's wait for the executive session.
Okay. And that brings me to executive session. We need to talk about this. We also need to talk about, I recently met with our labor consultant on the new union that's being formed by our EMTs, and I want to update the board on that. So, and I'll defer that to the end of the meeting. Mary is up. Where are we with Mary?
Comp time.
Time. So we have two requests on the comp time. One is the, we received a memo. It's that time of the year where the assessor's office is in crunch time and they are putting in extra hours. And Amanda is, one of the girls in the office is looking for permission to work some additional hours and carry that over. How's the board feel about this?
Quick question, Rich.
Sure.
I believe our comptroller said that these hours are anticipated, as you just said, every year because of this crunch time. It's certain things with BAR that have to be done, certain days that town hall has to be open. So it's budgeted. Is it that the request is in lieu of pay, which we've already budgeted for, they're looking to use it as comp time? So
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
it actually would be a savings to the budget. It's just a matter of making sure we provide office coverage, and then this person will take this time at a later date. I'm
Yes.
totally supportive of that.
Okay, so, and there are
That's
two
fine.
parts to that. It's,
Okay.
one, yes, we budget every year for the assessors to work extra hours this time of the year, but they're really budgeted for the, they have to be here on a Saturday, they have to be here, so the assessment rolls are open one evening, and then they have the first initial meeting with the BAR. And there are extra hours if we need them, but it's really not clear within the budget when they can take those hours. So they do have to come back to us to get approval on those. And we're gonna work on that for next year to try to clarify that, so it's not such an onerous process for them. But this in particular has to do with the fact that they are not looking to get paid, they are just looking to trade time.
Yep.
They're gonna work the hours now and take them off at a later date. And right now, our current policy says that they have to either take them off within this payroll period, or they have to take them off with two town board members' approval at the subsequent payroll period.
So we're just extending that.
We're extending that out.
Yeah, or that time bank.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive of this.
I am also, and I think the employee so states that it won't exceed 21 hours and will be taken by the beginning of September, so.
Okay.
That seems like
Yeah, I'm with that.
Approved.
All right, so then I'd like to make a motion to approve the inter-office memorandum and the use of the compensatory, yeah, I can't even say it.
Compensatory.
The compensatory
Compensatory.
time, thank you, for Amanda Tompkins. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the second issue has to do with how we're doing and I'm going to choke on it again.
Just call it comp.
Compensatory time.
Comp time.
All right, compensatory time policy. We've long talked about it's kind of onerous the way we do it, requiring two town board members to approve it, and when they can take it, and the fact that it only has to be within, a very short duration. So I've provided the board with amendments to the policy, if you could take a look at them.
Sure.
And we will bring it back up at the next meeting.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, that's item one. The second one is back to the lifeguard program. We do have a flyer that everybody is taking a look at, advertising for lifeguards, but the flyer incorporates a number of policies that we initially talked about last meeting, but really never made any policy decisions on. So we need to start talking about them and decide how we're going to handle them. Anybody want to start, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to start.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Charlie.
I'll go back to your memo, March 26th. Right? A couple of questions we talked about. We have been gathering information, and I'll come to the flyer afterwards. But gathering information on the town becoming a licensed American Red Cross lifeguard trainer. I guess, who do we consider to do the training?
We've got somebody who has worked for us in the past that I believe is qualified to train. And there are 2 other names that I've been given that I need to reach out to. So, and I will be doing that shortly. The application went in. I received a response today that they will be sending me the next part of the application to fill out.
Okay, so then that person would have to be approved by the board, and as far as doing this job plus pay rate, et cetera.
Yeah, I would assume once I've got confirmation of the interest of the 3 individuals that we would bring them in to talk to them.
All right. Back to our scheduling of interviews. Next, you have in your memo about the managing the lifeguards that could be used at Putt Lake and Veterans Park, and I think that's a very good idea, that they can go back and forth. Previously, they're stationed here and there, and never the 2 shall meet, but I think that going back is a good idea. That's me. Then there was a little inconsistencies too, if the weather was bad or the beaches got closed, what do we do with them? And I think we have the right solution, that combination of perhaps, depending on the circumstances, a lifeguard staying at the beach so nobody wanders in, and second, that if there's more than 1 lifeguard, which probably there will be, scheduled for a day, that lifeguard or 2 would be put to work elsewhere. Maybe town hall, filing, or maybe the rec center helping out over there.
We'll send them to Russ, they can pave the roads.
Send it to Russ, that's perfect. He's the best supervisor we have, so, okay.
Thanks.
You know what I
I'm
mean.
getting tough up here.
True. All right, superintendent, okay. Correct the minutes, please.
Well, that's all right. I agree with you, so.
All right. Your next point was recommending that there be a training lifeguard responsible for assisting managing the daily operations of the beaches, and I think that's a good idea, and that just got to work out sort of a little bit of the details on what that all means, but I understand the general idea. Next, we come to paying for certification, recertification, and my take is that the town pays for that, no strings attached, if you will. Sean wants to come here and be a lifeguard, and he needs to be certified, and that costs, what, X dollars, and we have an idea of that Sean pays and we reimburse him. He's been a lifeguard here, he needs to be recertified, same thing. I think that why I think that way is that this is like a 10-week job, 10 weeks, okay? And I think we're getting either high school kids or college kids, or in a lot of cases, high school seniors who will be going to college. And they got enough on their mind, money-wise, with their expenses, that we don't have to, my word, burden them with this certification course, okay? And if they're in their last year or 2 of college, they know they got school debt. So I think as a good employer, we should pay for the certification. Now, if somebody doesn't work out, you could say, well, what happens if somebody doesn't work out? Well, they don't come back next year, that's all. You know, and we make it clear to them that we expect them to work the shifts, the hours that they're up for. And if they mess around, you know, we talk to them, and at the end of the summer, when they get their little evals, that, sorry, but you know, you're not gonna be asked back next year.
I agree. I think we should pay for their certifications because they are costly, and it's a part-time summer job, like you said. A lot of them are college students and stuff. But I think we should give them some level of responsibility, throw some strings in there, at least 7 shifts for the summer or something. You know, I mean that's 1 shift. You know, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, just to give them some accountability, so they don't just get their certification. I mean, we're fitting the bill for the certifications. We should expect something out of them, you know, in return. And I don't think anything crazy, you know, not, you know, but something.
So what I did, just to go back to the memo, you know, I did take a look at the average number of hours that the lifeguards were working out there, and then I, you know, threw in a factor to downsize it a little bit. And what I came up with is nobody should have a problem, you know, doing 40 hours or 80 hours.
For the whole season.
Yeah, for the whole
Yeah,
season.
that seems very low and very
Yeah.
attainable.
So it was 50% for 40 hours.
Just so we don't get someone who comes here, gets the certification, and kind of moves on. Or, you know, yeah, we won't hire them back next year, but we're still out the
Yeah, takes it down
certification
someplace
fees.
else.
You know, give them some accountability, some, you know.
Yeah.
No,
I tend
then
to
if
agree.
all right, if we reimburse them and then they know that they have to work a certain amount of hours, or, you know, they're gonna have to pay us back. Or something.
We're not gonna get into them paying us back because we're not gonna go chasing the money.
Right.
It's better off if we hold the money until they've met a threshold, or just not do it at all.
I think at a minimum, we're gonna work in the evaluation that should be throughout their summer, right? So whoever the manager of this will do whether it's a mid-summer evaluation at a minimum and then end of the summer evaluation, maybe at mid-summer evaluation, it's almost like a performance-based incentive. You've met because by mid-summer, they'll have had the 40 to 80 hours easily. Anybody that works 2 shifts a week will have that in no time flat. They are proven to be a good quality lifeguard. They've met their measurables. They've met their midterm. Boom, it's like a bonus check. And it's like $500. It's not, you know, I just think that's a very small price for them to get the credential. Some of these people we've never worked with before. We might be hiring
Right.
guards. You know, please understand that this is all coming about. A lot of this stuff is because everyone is having a hard time getting lifeguards. It used to be the best job to get as a teenager or as a college student. For some reason, we are having an incredibly hard time. It's every single town you talk to, every municipality. The town of Kent has already had advertisements for a month now in the newspaper looking to hire all their people. They're having the same problems we are. I think what goes further than this incentive is paying people for the set hours, regardless of whether the beach is open or closed. We guarantee them their hours, we guarantee them a minimum pay, which the college kids especially need. They need to know that if they sign on for the summer, they can expect to make X number of dollars at the end, assuming they work X number of hours. And to have people, and this is the problem we had in the past, that when beaches could be open, we didn't have the guards at some of those beaches, you know? So I think guaranteeing that they'll get the hours that they sign on for the summer is going to go further even than holding the $500 for research to midsummer. I think that's gonna be a huge component, and I think we're gonna have good luck with that.
And how many hours are you saying?
Well, what I was recommending is that we pay them 50% at 40 hours and 50% and 100% at 80 hours. That was my recommendation.
If you work 2 days a week even, which isn't even much of a commitment.
I just don't want to make it onerous on these
No.
people. Remember too that other summer part-time employees that we have, basically in the same age group. They work the camps, they work whatever. They can come back during school breaks and work. These lifeguards can't, you know? This is it.
Their pay is commensurate with the certification. They're getting paid $12, $13 an hour. 15. The kids working at the camp aren't getting paid that rate, right?
in the neighborhood.
Some
I
of
don't-
the, some of
I
the
don't-
supervisors, well, we just did a, last meeting, we did an approval for somebody to be a senior leader to move from $12 to $14. That was a senior leadership position,
Right,
right?
but that
We're
was
paying-
with camps.
It was with rec center.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
and,
It
Well,
was
look,
the,
ju-
it was the school program.
Well, what is 40 hour? 40 hours is like 6 shifts, right?
Yeah,
For the whole
exactly.
summer. That's
All
not-
right, so,
That's
I
not a
mean-
lot to ask.
No, it's not.
um,
But it guarantees that we're gonna get some productivity out of it before we
Yeah.
compensate them. And the only thing I was recommending here is to, I mean, we're currently doing it with research, but to extend that to certifications as well.
right.
Okay. Guys are tough. Okay.
14.
Just remember who was
4 weeks. I mean, if they do 2 shifts a week, in 4 weeks, they've had 56 hours, 7-hour day, right?
And it encourages them to work a little more too, to make money.
All right.
So you're okay with all this,
I am.
Pete? All right, so what I'm gonna do for the next meeting is draft up a formal policy, and we can approve it then. So we have something other than just, our
Yeah.
recommendations.
So we can't post the flyer yet?
No,
It'd be
that was
nice.
the next question is what you want to do with the flyer, and if you're comfortable with it.
We have to post.
Yeah, we
We're
gotta get
already
it out there.
Behind the 8 ball.
The
on
problem
this.
though is it has a lot of policies on it.
Well,
It's guaranteed shift pay and certifications, paying for their certification.
All we do is adjust the hour. Well, it says recertification reimbursement for returning guards based on actual hours. We just have to adjust the language a little bit, and then we can, I think we got to get the advertisement out
Yeah.
there.
But it'd be
we
nice
don't-
to have that though,
Yeah.
to lure them.
Has anybody got it? All right, so what's the problem with, based on what we just discussed here, it seems like
As
these
long as it's
policies,
reflected in that, we're fine.
these policies are what we've been talking about.
Correct.
True?
Yes.
And everybody seems to be in agreement.
Yep.
So is there any problem with releasing the flyer as is?
Yes. I just, one
What
little
don't you like?
nit thing. I still think we should put Veronica's name down, so when they call, they go directly, they know who to call.
Right down here at the bottom,
Yeah.
applications
Yeah, that's all.
available, blah, 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 or for more information, contact Veronica.
Okay.
Veronica Road.
Great. Yes?
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's good?
Yes.
Good.
All right, we're good.
Oh, by the way, Pete, too, you see the flyer, and talking about the hours and stuff, let me go to these other guys, too. 7 days a week, starting June 29th.
Ah.
Even though it's open on Memorial Day, it's only open on weekends.
That's
It's
true.
June. So,
So you have July and August are the full time.
Like
yeah.
full-time gigs, yeah.
Yeah. So, the hours are a little reduced than
I just-
others who don't have need a certification.
I would just hope that they would work more than 6 shifts, at least 6 shifts out of the whole summer.
Yeah.
If we're gonna pay for their certification.
Peter, you're up.
All right, first up, I have a memo from Matt Jabaro from Rec Center. I'm requesting approval to rehire Chris Santos as our co-ed basketball summer camp director at the rate of $23 per hour. The rate is the same as last year. He has directed our co-ed full-day basketball camp for the past 5 years and has done an excellent job. I would also like to rehire Adriana Palmiero as a senior staff member and multi-camp leader. She's returning after graduating from SUNY Cortland with a degree in physical education. Adriana displayed good leadership qualities last summer in our multi-camp program and will be taking on a bigger role this summer. Her rate of pay as senior staff member will be $12.30 per hour, and the rate of pay as multi-camp leader will be $15 per hour. The multi-camp leader position is included in our annual budget. Thank you for your support. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the rehire of Chris Santos for the co-ed basketball summer camp director at the rate of $23. And also rehire Adriana Palmero for senior staff member at $12.30 per hour, and multi-camp leader at the rate of $15 per hour. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Chris is a good guy.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So is, not a good guy, but a nice lady, Adriana. I've heard such great things about her.
Good.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
It's great that we retain those people and they keep coming back.
Matt better watch out. She's got the degree.
Maybe we can get them a lifeguard certification.
There you go.
Next up I have is the building and maintenance vehicle. I have an estimate for repairs to the, for a rear new quarter panel, for paint refinish. It is kind of rusted, and I think the vehicle's in excellent shape as far as Dennis is concerned. He says the vehicle's in excellent shape, but it needs some body work in the back there. So there's an estimate here from 3600 Corporation for $600. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the $600 to 3600 Corporation for the repair of the maintenance vehicle. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It was not damaged, it's just rusting, and we want to catch it.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Okay, other business.
You want to do this?
Whatever you want to do. You want to do it?
We have a request from this Putnam Lake seniors for a trip to the Westchester Broadway Theater. I believe the show was Mamma Mia or Mama something. And so the net cost of the budget is $1,490. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve the Putnam Lake senior trip to the Westchester Broadway Theater on June 5th, 2019, in an amount not to exceed $1,490. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You threw yourself, didn't you? By
No, I
seconding
didn't.
it.
No, I didn't. I was just waiting to see if you guys were
No.
Yeah, that
I was
was-
curious
looking.
what he said the show was. What did he say?
It's
it was?
Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Is it?
No,
No.
doesn't say.
It
It's
doesn't say.
Oh.
You were
That's what's playing.
ad living.
Is that, you got something in the mail?
Okay, anybody else? All right, I do have one thing. I believe everybody has the estimates. We just got the third estimate in today. As everybody knows, Club Court, we're trying to get everything open for the spring. Club Court is looking a little shabby. Part of the problem has to do with the border around the playground. So we did get 3 quotes from different vendors. Semco, Colonial Town, and Landscape Concepts. And the low bid was by Semco, Water and Wastewater Specialists, in the amount of $3,772. I know I'm just springing this on you tonight, but how does everybody feel about moving forward, because we can't get the mulch in until we get the border up?
I'm fine with it. I just am amazed Semco is putting a quote in to do.
They're looking to expand out of water and wastewater and into
Yeah.
building
Apparently so.
construction. They also gave us a quote to do a roof.
Wow.
So,
Rich, is the, well, how much money did you say?
$3,772.
Yeah, but doesn't we have to do this too?
No, I was not moving on the mulch replacement.
Oh, just the retaining wall?
I want to get the, the border put back in, and then we can deal with the mulch,
Okay.
because they're not the low bidder on the mulch.
Okay.
All right, I'd like to move that we award Semco Water and Wastewater Specialists the bid for replacement of the border at Club Court Park for the amount of $3,772. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Could I just, while we're on the topic of Club Court, we've discussed this. I know a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realize that we close it for the winter time,
Yes.
because now then we get these nice weekends and everyone wants to use it, and they start complaining that it's run down, but it's really not open yet. We're obviously making improvements right now. When's the official date that we open and close?
I think it's usually around May 1st we open it.
Mhm.
We've got the porta potties in there by that time. We turn the water on. We've got the new mulch in. So it's usually around May 1st that we open it up.
So I think it's just important to let the
Okay.
community know that it's not open yet. So
You are right.
we are making improvements on it, and so.
Yep. Okay. And the last thing that I have, just, so the public is aware, I provided the town board tonight with a new layout for a proposed EMS building to go behind town hall here for them to take a look at. I imagine we're going to be discussing this extensively in the days coming forward.
Okay.
So, okay, that's it for me. Public recognition. Any member of the public have anything they wish to address the board on? Bruce?
Good evening. Bruce Major, 166 Somerset. First thing I'd like to let the board know is that there's been a dramatic improvement in the visual cleanliness of the rec center. The new cleaning service is doing an exceptional job. Anybody who walks in there can see the difference. And so that's a big positive. As it relates to the EMS report, is there a chance you can put it online so that the folks can see it? As you remember, there was a lot of cantankerous meetings involved who should be running EMS. It would probably be good that report get out there. And then the other question, yes?
Do you have a library card? I'll let you use mine.
Actually, I had two. I have one from Patterson, one from Brewster. I just got rid of the Brewster one,
Here
okay?
you go.
But I still have Patterson.
But you're right, but I'll give you mine.
And then the last thing I'd like to know, as it relates to Clover Lake, the numbers are large there, and you're saying that we're getting reimbursement on about 1,000 of the 1,200. The pickup cases where someone falls out of bed that you go there, are you getting reimbursed on those?
On some of them. It depends what insurance they have.
Okay,
Called lift assists.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Unless a board member has any objection, I'll work on getting the report up online.
I think that's great.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah,
You good?
absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone else? Like to make a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.
Ella, come here, we need you to shut the switch. We're in a break mode.
Thank you very much.
Very official. Wow.